Right, welcome back everyone to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Feroz bringing you the latest news, reviews and blockchain tech. So you may have recalled recently I created a review on Tim blockchain, and clearly there has been a certain amount of FUD that's been going around, and obviously my community have asked how much due diligence have I done in terms of creating the actual review in the first place. So we are joined today with Prabhat Singh from Tim blockchain, and really the aim of today's review is to kind of address some of this FUD that I've been collecting through various sources and really have a conversation with Prabhat to kind of understand where we are with this and whether there is any substantial evidence behind it to kind of back up some of what we're hearing. So I've got a list of questions that I'm going to be going through, but I think for those who are tuning in for the first time and may not be aware of Tim blockchain, Prabhat, would you mind just introducing yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and really explain it to me like I'm five, exactly what is Tim blockchain?
Firstly, thank you, Feroz, for having me on your show. So we started this project of Tim blockchain as an IoT project, which was not near around any blockchain. We actually pondered on the idea of blockchain for improving our IoT solution. It was a success as a toy example with Ethereum. Obviously, we were working with enterprise, and they had like real production demands, and like the cost and the time of consensus and the isolation of load across globe, right? So those are the three key problems which we solved in Tim blockchain by making it DAG based, making it a two-layer, one for consensus and one for mining. So kind of we kind of went inside the box and broke it into parts to solve those specific problems, and that's what Tim blockchain is in brief.
So would I be correct in assuming that you guys have been already in the blockchain space before, because you mentioned Ethereum, so it sounds like you already have been working within this space and you already have blockchain experience?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were working with enterprise, a Singapore government body.
Okay.
Under NDA, I can't reveal much, but it has been like a 2.5-year journey now.
Okay. Interesting. So I suppose what I'm going to do is really get straight into it, and I've got a list of questions. And so firstly, the main one that I'm kind of looking at really is there's some questions around advisors that you've had in the past. Obviously, they're no longer on your website. And so the first one that I'm sort of curious to understand about is, who is Gary? I mean, there are those in the community that are really accusing you of making up fake advisors. So Gary's profile picture, a previous profile picture that you've had on your website, has been linked to a stock photo on Pexel. So, you know, what is that all about? I mean, and I've got the actual URL here with me. So I believe this is an article that was created by this individual called Gary over at Crypto Criterion, which appears to be an ICO website for news and reviews. But more importantly, this particular picture that we've got in the background is also available on Pexel as a picture that you can download. So, you know, the question is, why is there a stock photo of an advisor, or has been, on your website previously?
Right. So Gary and John are CEOs of CryptoCriterion.com. Today, like, there are many people who are accusing of having fake advisors on my website. For me, they are real people, because we engage through our the main group channel. So if you scroll like in February or March, John was like making public messages, sending public messages to me that, Prabhat, please get in contact. I can help you in marketing. So it was John who contacted, and we struck a deal that if you market us, right, we can go together, we can work together. Now I'm dealing with criticism for something which I still believe to be a right decision. I made a payment in good faith, and I expected a certain level of service. There were gaps, and we decided to move on. Okay. On one hand, Gary sends me an apology email, and on other hand, he chose to write long article criticizing me, right? I could have done the same thing, and it would have been made my life easier rather than explain. And that I did not have fake advisors. But as a CEO, I chose to not do the easy thing. I chose to do the right thing, and I kept email communications to myself. Okay. Now, we are in professional world, and I do not want to get in the dirty war of pointing fingers. John has been reaching out to my teams to actually fish out information so that he can get material for his next article. He's more than welcome to reach out to me directly, and I will answer all his questions about our process and procedures. Whatever said and done, I still appreciate the fact that they did not criticize our technology. This whole thing is not about me. It is about him. So we are trying to change the world and bring a better technology, and it goes beyond a single individual. Except like there are a few texts from their site that the facts are Tim seems 100% real from a technology point of view. The financial world will discover, right, Tim. So these kind of things are like, okay, they somehow believe in technology, but have some other issues, or maybe. I want everyone to remember this, that they are not investing in me, they're investing in this technology. I'm a technologist, and communication may not be my strongest point. But given the state of our technology is my promise to all.
Okay. So if we then kind of look at, and I'm going to take clips from my review, which I did about 4 or 5 days ago. First of all, we've got a number of individuals on the actual site. So if I kind of start with, let's just say we've got Sanjay Kumar. Now, you have Sanjay currently on your website. If I kind of scroll up under your team. Now, when I reviewed you guys a few days ago, however, we had Lokesh Kumar. So other than the first name being changed and the surname being the same, what's happening here, and why is there so much change within your team?
So obviously Sanjay Kumar and Lokesh Kumar are two different people. Kumar is a common surname in India. So Lokesh and me are still working together. Lokesh works basically in a company which is like at front line of fintech. There are certain things which like the FUD around us regarding anything, right, can have repercussions on his first employer, right? And that kind of made us a decision that it's better to segregate that. Lokesh still works for us. You can reach out through LinkedIn, and I have worked for Lokesh for like 5 years back. We had been working on the ideas for a good long time. We still are in good relations, and if you want like a personal reference, you can still reach it out. Lokesh and me have no issues. Obviously, dropping Lokesh, right, was a decision made out of all the FUD coming around, and his fintech should not get affected.
Okay. So then the other bit that I wanted to pick up was we also had an advisor which I'd reviewed who was Kahil Puil. So let me have a little look back on yours. So he no longer appears on your site, but when I reviewed you guys, Kahil was here. So what's the deal with Kahil at the moment?
So I mean, these are like few things which we had in our chat and our emails, right, at multiple places, that how we agreed to work together. So it was obviously by Telegram channel and WhatsApp chat and other things where we exchanged certain emails and an interest to work together. We had a different kind of working relationship based on certain rate charts which was sent by Kahil, which was okay for us. Recently, he made an interest into getting signed as an advisor with a contract and certain percentage of stuff or assets in the company, right? Plus, it would also be his other demands and other needs, like we're not in favor of the whole stuff which we are doing. It was a big ask, and that's why I kind of politely informed him. We did send an agreement. It didn't get signed in time, for which I have the mail exchanges which we had, and I kind of politely asked that if this is not going ahead, let's drop it. Just before sending the agreement, Kahil asked me that now you're using my name from on your site, you can remove it, and I have the chat still. That I said yes, I will immediately do it. Then he offered that unless we agree today, we can go ahead. I said yeah, why not? Let's discuss. We discussed the terms right there in the chat, and in between like 24 to 48 hours or so, because it was a weekend and we were under heavy load of KYC for private sales, right? But we sent him a contract. but it was like not signed, and then we received some other messages which made us realize that it is not going to be a good deal for us overall, because I have to protect interest of my investors. I can't spend money just like that. And that has been my motto, that we are driven by technology. Obviously we need marketing, and we need good marketing, because a good product needs a good story also, that how it will affect certain sort of people, certain section of society, and everything. But it should not be on the cost of investors' money, right? They have invested in us for certain beliefs, that we have the right intent to bring a good technology. We have the right intent to build a right team and right ecosystem around us. And if we get like overspending, that is not going to be in anyone's favor. And obviously, my experience for around 10 years, 11 years says that it's better to walk out of a deal quickly if it doesn't work, rather than pondering on it. And we walked out and we removed. Also, I like to point out, like, all this is happening now, right? Some changes we did about John and Gary there, and I had written a formal notice to him that we are dropping you if you don't respond with the reports of your work, right? And we dropped there. Okay. Second was that the recent changes. Now, the recent changes happened like when we started getting limelight, we started doing marketing, active marketing, right? And we are coming in limelight now. People are realizing that we are doing something serious, not fudding around. And now all this is happening. And as a CEO of this company, I will not hesitate to take the decision, make the right decision, even if it is going to be painful for me for a short time. But I know that in long time, I will be able to deliver a right product from the right company at the right kind of benefits to our stakeholders.
Thank you. No, it's clearly important to be seen that you're making the right decisions, because ultimately, I think your hard cap was around 19 million. So, it's not a small amount of funding that you're raising, and clearly you have a responsibility to us, to the investors, to those who are obviously watching. Now, it's interesting that we're talking about sort of money and spending. And so one of the things I wanted to bring up was that, once again, and I'm using my review as a baseline because they're the only screenshots that I really have from my video, is your token metrics. Now, if we have a look, once again, when I reviewed you guys, you had quite a favorable token metric overall. I was generally quite impressed. You've got sort of, a small amount of bounty pre-ICO, main ICO, as well as, there was a big investment from seed investors at around 29%. Now, when I look back at your site today, and we sort of have a look at the token metrics, if I can find them. So let's have a look. So your token metrics, there seems to be quite a big change. I think the first change that I'm kind of seeing is that your seed investors have now been reduced down to 8%. Why would anyone agree to coming down to having such a smaller portion of the pie?
Right. So firstly, reduction in pie in numbers is one thing. I'll come to that later, right? The first is that how did we go this way, and this was a journey for us. And I think if something has happened, then it is that we became like over transparent, and that's a hazard in maybe in this segment of market. Because then we communicated 2 points. One was that when we made a split, and that instead of 110 million supply, we'll do 1.1 billion supply, so that we reduce the token price to 1/10, as similarly proportionally. Also change the hard cap and everything to have like enough money, but not too much money, but enough money to build our product for 3 years. Because then we decided that to put the belief in the team, that we believe in the product, we'll be locking it for 3 years. We basically need the expenditure money for 3 years, that how to build a basic blockchain plus the features around it, and then the utilities which we have been talking about, that what all is possible in blockchain other than what the world has seen already. So this split, reduction of hard cap, right, that gave out a story that seed investors are getting 29%. But obviously it was very high compared to what have we done to change the hard cap. Actually gives them more, because if it starts appreciating tomorrow, if we raise less money, do more, the overall value of the portfolio will be higher in terms of finance. So I'm from the world of finance, so I kind of understand it very easily. Maybe it can be explained in a better way for other people. But overall, the thing is that if we start with a small seed, grow it more, right? So the net percentage growth is very high, and that's what we convinced the seed investors, that if you reduce your stake, right, the portfolio will be balanced, and then only we can have a successful ICO. So you get less in terms of maybe percentage, but you are getting high because you will get more out of the total ICO, because if the ICO is successful, we build the product, right? Even if your tokens are locked for 2 years, and since you are all kind of a HNI or institutional class investors, right, you will actually get more, because maybe there are small investors who invested in us based on some news article or something, but this group of seed investors, like I kind of personally presented what I have done, how it works, what is the technology behind, what is the engine, the core of TIM blockchain. So they obviously have more information, so they will be able to appreciate it. And that's what happened. That's how we reduced it. Now, there is one very simple thing in finance portfolio valuation, that if I give someone all the token for $1, right, his actual investment will become zero the moment it goes. Because the way crowdsourcing or crowd behavior works is that it should be well distributed, balanced distributed, then only the growth happens. Because if there are no believers, no participants, how will a crowdsourced application or an application like blockchain, which needs a crowd to work together in tandem, works only if you have a fair amount of distribution and a fair distribution as well. That's the reason of converting it. We could have done all this without even putting that pie chart, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I said, that over transparency might be the problem, because we firstly balanced out that how if 1/10 price, 10 times the supply, reduction of hard cap to like less than half, right, will give us more, right? And we could have like published it the discussion went for around a week, and we said that now we have at least one side balanced. The second job is to agree with the seed investors that how we should balance them, so that it becomes the right kind of offering for ICO investors, right? So this took around 2 weeks. We published the interim results of the token matrix. We could have done it at the end of 2 weeks, and no one could have noticed. But the right story is that we have seed investors who believe into us, and that's why the 2-year locking is. Otherwise, how can someone get 2-year locked?
Okay. Now, I suppose talking about portfolio valuation and keeping it balanced, what I have noticed is that your foundation in the rebalancing has actually taken an additional 8% of the tokens. So right. How does that play into it? And why does there need to be an additional 8% into the foundation? Why couldn't that 8% be distributed to, say, the ICO crowd sale, for example?
Yeah, and a very good point, actually. And this gives me an opportunity to highlight some of the early beliefs which I put in front of the community. That one thing was that we actually wanted to have this token available for impact investment kind of purpose, not impact investment as is. Like you provide this token to certain societies and certain regions where you don't have the same in-depth reach of technology, either because of the price or entry barriers. Like if suppose today Bitcoin gets an application which kind of has a lot of implications, right, and positive implication, and it can impact societies positively, how someone in Africa will be able to afford 1 Bitcoin to do something meaningful? Either it has to be bought and then given a charity, or the foundation has some stock of tokens to give it out for right kind of initiatives to firstly make those positive changes, second that have a way of funding it properly, right? And that's what was the purpose of TIM Foundation and is the purpose of TIM Foundation. Somehow when we were under 10 million tokens, it was like hard to see that how can we ever do it, right? it was hard. Like we have a very, I can say, aggressive plan that what all we want to do with the technology, and how do we want to distribute this technology for the good. No one should be left behind. With the kind of vision we have, the mission statement we have for TIM Foundation, the rebalancing gave us extra tokens, and we distributed to both pools. So even if you see now, our ICO pool is something around, maybe I'm missing a number, but approximately 400 million plus tokens.
Okay.
And it will, if you calculate, we will be doing something around 130 million tokens sale, plus some bonuses. So even if it is, say, plus bonuses and everything, max to max, it can go it can go 200 million, right?
Okay.
So there is enough supply there also, right? Now, so we balanced it out, that how much it should be there, how much should it be there, and we actually gave more to ICO pool than to TIM Foundation. TIM Foundation is anyway locked for 3 years with a very noble purpose of impact investment. We have written some articles that how and what do we want to do, how this technology can make serverless applications come to life. So when I say serverless, not cloud but blockchain based,
Okay.
where you don't have a server, you have smart contracts, making something like blockchain taxi, which we talk about, that how it can be built, and we'll be launching it soon. How it can be built, and without a server, a driver and a rider can find themselves using the geolocation part of the blockchain,
Okay.
right? And have a contract to have a ride of a given distance and a given route and at a given price. If you don't use server, you're actually saving $1 billion of cost of IT and all the admin required. $1 billion cost also means that you have $1 billion of carbon footprint saved. Internet is the biggest polluter as per some report, which I kind of mentioned in some articles. So that's the kind of positive work which we want to do, right?
Okay.
And those things require that we have tokens for future, right? Because this needs an investment in people. Obviously, we'll be not investing in servers,
Yeah.
but we'll be giving out tokens through some partnership deals or some kind of arrangement with certain bodies of government or regions or with communities of people, and then bring this technology to life. That all needs tokens, not money, right?
Okay.
With money, we can build the technology, but we need the tokens to bring it to life. So actually, it is going to add value to investors if we have tokens. Otherwise, if you don't have, only investors have token, how can we fund it, right?
Okay. So, thank you for answering a number of these questions. I have a couple more which I just want to kind of go through. Now, looking at where Tim's registered, we've got you guys down as being in Delaware, USA. Now, there have been some concerns raised, how this might affect the ICO from an SEC standpoint.
Right.
Any plans in terms of trying to really help investors here understand the reason for being in Delaware? Because there are other ICOs previously that have been registered within the US that have not fared very well when it comes to the actual crowd sale, token sale, and all of the SEC elements that are behind it. So what's your plan here exactly?
Right. So first of all, yes, the company which is conducting the ICO is iTech, which is registered in Delaware, but the token sale is happening for TIM Foundation, right? And TIM Foundation, we are in the process of, firstly, I say that in USA, we are in the process of the paperwork required to be in compliance, right? And then only the ICO will happen. Second is that there are obviously few questions which we have already answered to the legal team, and they're convinced is that TIM is not a security. TIM is a utility, right? Now, when it comes to answering these questions, right? Obviously, legal is a complex topic, and I'm not an expert into it. I can say that what I have heard and got advised by my legal team, right? Still, we want to be extra secure about it, because certainly the current trends going into the market, we want to have the right kind of fencing for ourselves, and for that, US investors are not allowed into the crowd sale or in the private deal, right? So that's first protection. Second is that if we get and which we are very sure from our legal team that will get the right kind of paperwork done to conduct the ICO from US. Else, we have other locations already formed as a backup plan that how we do it, right? So obviously, all this kind of gives us two things. That why do we want to be in US? Right? It would have been very easy, just maybe a week's job to get it done in some safe haven country. Firstly, is that, as I said previous time also, that TIM blockchain is trying to build a useful technology. We are working with some mainstream partners. Mainstream partners means enterprises based out of US, based out of good locations, which do not work with a company registered in, say, safe haven countries, tax safe haven countries, or so. Right. So that is very important for us to operate from a right jurisdiction so that we can easily build partnership. Otherwise, it will be a different kind of problem where we build a great technology, but it is registered in such a location that people don't work like with a company registered in BVI easily. That's a known fact, right? Because then it is used, or say Panama, right? Then it is used for so many other purposes. We obviously have recently seen the Panama paper scandal and everything. And the world has become cautious. The information is not new. We always knew that certain jurisdictions are favored for doing certain kind of businesses, right? And we are in the mainstream business, building a technology which helps enterprises, helps people alike. So that's the reason of trying to be in Delaware. Second is that the paperwork will get done, and much before ICO, and before we conduct ICO, and we will be kind of informing that which is the right legal entity to conduct this ICO. ITEC is just the settler of TIM Foundation, be it the one which we are trying to get in US or the other jurisdiction which we have as a backup plan. ITEC is just doing it on behalf of TIM Foundation. Okay. So that's the reason to be in Delaware, because when we actually built the Ethereum, for example, 2 years back, right, it was done by ITEC, though we had never planned that we'll do an ICO. But then to make a public blockchain, it also, apart from money, it also gives us that opportunity to tell our story to people, that what we are doing, so that we can get miner community. Mining is a very important part for building a blockchain. If you have people mining your blockchain, it's so much stronger.
Okay. So it kind of takes us on to the last element here, really, is around GitHub. Now, so your code in GitHub appears not to be complete, some have been saying. In fact, it only contains the base code. So I know that I saw the code preview, and you made me sign an NDA because I like to normally record them into my shows. But I'm no coding expert, so I certainly couldn't validate to that level. So, you know, what plans do you have in terms of releasing your code? What plans do you have in terms of providing investor confidence that you guys do know how to create a blockchain, code a blockchain?
Right. So first of all, confidence is very important, and thankfully there are people who are doing this job very diligently, and we have to be under NDA for certain reasons. Right? So we will be doing the code review pretty soon. I don't want to reveal the date because we're still working on the part that how and what to show, right? But we will show the code review that it's not a GUI running behind some JavaScript and everything. People also like put certain comments on Twitter and other places that it is calling a URL of API gateway of Amazon. So, I mean, I can just say that our blockchain, Graph Miners, published their data in Amazon DynamoDB, and API gateway pulls that data on polling, right? We do not run our testnet all the time when we are developing and testing. There are two different phases. Developing we can do on 2 nodes also, because it's a P2P, or 3 nodes at max if you want to see the race conditions. But when it is testing, we actually activate our 36 node network, and then what you see on our interface is actually that what was the last performance, because when you are testing, you can see, like when I showed you, you were seeing that dots forming, right? That where is the graph miner center of gravity, where is the graph miner for consensus and everything, where's the location for the node, right? So we will be doing the code review with an expert who actually has brand value in himself, and is trusted, and has done review for many projects, and I'm very sure that we will be getting good marks from him, because what we are doing is genuine, a two-layer blockchain which does dynamic sharding and has a high performance in the alpha testnet also.
Great. So we need to stay tuned to see exactly who the influencer is, I suppose, looking at your code review.
Yeah, I mean, I could have revealed the name, but since I'm not got a yes or no, so I'm not revealing, because I have signed up so many NDAs with other people, or people have asked me to sign NDAs.
Okay.
Better to not say if there is no explicit yes. Second, on your question on GitHub, right? When we are developing our blockchain, we are calling libraries, standard libraries currently, and that's why we changed the namespace to Tim. It is, as I said, that when we started, it was Ethereum, right? So today also, many of the libraries are Ethereum. Now, when we are calling some basic libraries like RPC, and there is a function, right, which uses a particular way that developers and authors of Ethereum have coded it, right? It is not very different. But now, since we are developing many of the things, those functions have to change, because the two-layer blockchain works very differently than one layer, right? Now, if we had someone from Ethereum, thankfully, if it happens, touch wood, right, from Ethereum, they could have given a better solution, that how you can do it by, there's like always n+1 number of ways in developing a system, right? We followed a certain thing, which required that we change certain functions, right? And have it our own namespace, because if tomorrow something good get developed in Ethereum, I'll be happy to amend our functions, or take inspiration from that, or ask them that can we add this code base, if it is not open source, right? In ours, I would like to take permission and do it. And I think if we are doing something good, there will be many ones who will try to learn from us as well. And sure, it's a two-way street. And we are doing an open source project. It will be open source at the right time, because since being an ICO, there are other concerns that people start copying, right, and all that. We didn't want to go in that route. Better have the testnet, show it to an exclusive group of people who actually can either are investors, because they bring more than money to us, right? They also bring advice in terms of technical, business, legal, management, plus many other things, right? So working in close confidence with them, and showing them the actual code, that how we use this open source, plus with our private Git, plus showing the code to influencers, that gives us a balanced way ahead. We'll anyway make this public by November, and also we'll make the beta live by July, so people can see it.
Right, well, I think that's the end of my exhaustive list of questions, Prabhat. So, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and equally answer these questions, because it is important, I think, certainly from an ICO perspective, certainly from an investor perspective, to be transparent. And maybe you've been overly transparent, but I don't think that's a bad thing either. So, I really appreciate the time, and I wish you all the success with the ICO. I mean, I'm certainly going to be looking forward to the outputs of your code review, because it does feel like this will be something that the investors really need to see beyond just white paper and talk, and obviously the GUI that you have on your webpage. So thank you, Prabhat. I appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Actually, I got to answer so many questions in a structured way, right? Got the free time, because I kind of go on talking if I am allowed to, right?
No, perfect.
So thank you for your time, actually.
Thanks, Prabhat. Thanks a lot.